Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to the Grappling Rewind Podcast. This week on the show, we're going to recap the Shugyo Invitational Episode 1, talk about Fight to Win 122, talk about Kinetic Submission Grappling, recap Kasai Pro 6. We're also going to talk a little bit about the preview for IBJJF Worlds and the IBJJF No-Gi Heavyweight Grand Prix. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, with my co-host,
Ryan.
How you doing, Ryan?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
So before we get into that, a little bit, it's been a while since you've been on the show. You've not seen the new giant setup that we have.
That's
with
right.
all the lights.
It's super impressive. I saw a picture of it. It was immediately giddy when I saw it, but it's even better in person. It looks awesome down here.
Yeah, it's gonna be got lights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We got like this
It's
video
ridiculous,
going.
really.
It is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I want to make the show much better. So if if you're listening to the audio version of the show, we're now putting out the show on a video version on YouTube. And I'm super amped about it because we rearranged the entire recording setup. Now Ryan and I can actually look at each other when we talk.
Yep.
As previously we were looking at like across the table, and I was having to like shift my mic and my mouth to speak into the side of the mic to talk to Ryan.
You constantly had to remind me to keep my mouth here, so I got really good at like, say even I'm messing up. So good thing we're here now.
Yeah, so I'm super happy. If you've not seen, we have a bunch of YouTube stuff. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Let's get into some news first. So Hamla Bahal has said this super weird. Hamla Bahal has pulled out of ADCC and he's been replaced by Claudio Calazans. That's actually like a really fun replacement. I think Calazans has a really fun game for ADCC.
Yeah, absolutely. Always brings a ton of energy. Super awesome. Good every time he rolls.
And other ADCC news, I am the backstage interviewer for the social media for ADCC.
The biggest news.
That is going to be in every single week of news.
It should be.
Until I get to ADCC and we do the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday show for ADCC. Hey, just so you know, I'm going to be at ADCC. I'm super excited about it. It is going to be an outstanding event. I'm going to hopefully put out some more YouTube content for like ADCC stuff in the lead up. So that will be a lot of fun. We have an interview with Holz Gracie at the end of this episode. After we recap Kasai, I'm going to put it in right there. So tune in for that. It's going to be super exciting.
Moving up, Maine. Moving up.
We're doing some awesome interviews. I'm so excited.
It really is.
The promoters are like willing to talk to us and give us insight because they have such a different perspective than like I do.
Yeah.
And so they have a bunch of information for stuff I want to hear. Like, hey, what about this? Why do you do it this way? Or what about this? Or who should I watch in your event? And so it's really cool. I really appreciate that, promoters are, more and more promoters are letting us talk to them on the show.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, Kasai, another Kasai news. They had some big cash prizes we talked about it last week on the show, for Barata Platas and Imanari's.
Yep.
And last week on the show, we talked about it was $1,000 every time somebody hit one of those. It actually stacked.
Yeah.
So it was $1,000 additional every time someone hit a Barata Plata or an Imanari.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I'm really happy that those guys are paying out like big money to grapplers. I think actually there was one hit on the card. I think a Barata Plata.
Yeah, it was Barata Plata. And I really like that I thought it was Barata Plata is probably more realistic. I guess Imanari too, depending on what you do.
Guys finish Imanaris all the time.
It's two moves that may not happen more likely. You have to really try. But I love the theory of why they did it. I'm just having like...
Yeah, you had Barata and Imanari on the card. It was like, hey, if someone finishes one of these moves...
And to throw money at it just made it more exciting. It's just like, just to throw that into the promotion was a little like, just a like cherry on the sundae kind of thing that made it Kasai really cool.
Anything that potentially pays out grapplers more, like... I am super happy about because like I want to see guys get paid as much as they possibly can as competitors so that I can keep watching them do the competitor stuff.
Yeah. The more money you throw at them, the better people are going to come, the better events will come, and we're just slowly building to like that most perfect rule set and getting like all the beasts travel to do all the same tournaments. It's just a matter of like I feel like hitting that perfect rule set, and we'll get there. So
that's awesome. Other Kasai news, we'll talk about a little bit. DeBlas retired from Superfight competition after his Kasai match. Yep. We'll talk about that a little bit when we actually recap his match. Talking about the YouTube stuff, so I put out a video on the Grappling Rewind YouTube page last week, which was how to get on a BJJ Superfight. It basically was like an 18-minute video of like all of the things that you can do as a grappler to get yourself featured on a professional grappling event. I think there's some really good information there. I spoke to a lot of promoters in kind of the lead up to that video and actually like to get real information from actual promoters, not just like stuff that we had figured out, because we had figured out some really good stuff over the years of doing this, but actual stuff like, hey, I spoke to a bunch of guys like, hey, what are you actually looking for? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, I'm looking for this, 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 this. I want guys to have this kind of thing, be doing this. And like, it was stuff that I can pass along to the guys in the community that we cover and people that potentially that are looking to get on more super fights. Like, hey, watch this video. It's a really good guide for like how to get on a professional matchup if you're looking to do that. So I think it's really cool. If you're a fan of that, please subscribe to the Grappling Rewind on YouTube. We put the show out in the video version on that on the YouTube channel, as well as we're putting more content out there. We're kind of expanding into the more video side of it because I think there's There's some really cool stuff that is not going to translate as well for audio that deserves some video content, some play.
Agreed. It's awesome.
That's that. Let's see. Oh, if you have more ideas for BJJ how-tos, let me know. So I think we'll do a couple of those. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah, Craig Jones versus Husamar Palhares. So apparently Craig Jones, it's been a year since that match happened.
Yep.
I can't believe it's been a year already.
Yeah, I was reading that on the notes, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that again.
So apparently GrappleFest stepped up and was like, look, we'll put it on a November card. So, oh, look, I'll see it again. And I love Craig Jones.
Yeah.
I love Palhares. I'll watch him fight. Like, I feel like you're not going to get the same match as the first match.
Yeah, I feel like you can't.
You can't. Like, I feel like both guys are going to go, that was kind of a weird match.
Even if one person tries something, it's going to be better.
Well, Craig talked about he was disappointed. Like, both guys kind of talked about it a little bit. So, like, I want to see it again because I want to see, like, what that match could be. And I feel like, give it a second go another time. Like, GrappleFest potentially will actually, like, kind of bring out the best of them. And
you know who ruined Polaris was Gary Tonin, because he had the greatest grappling match of all time.
With Husamar.
When everybody sees that, they're thinking, you know, I'm gonna get this guy throwing this guy around. Somebody's gonna go for leg locks, like you're trying to break a tree stump, and it's just like, but it's. You know,
Gary Tonin,
you can't always get fireworks.
Husamar Palhares ruined professional grappling by putting on one of the best matches of all time.
And now Gary Tonin's gone, being selfish and furthering his own MMA career.
He's like, oh, I'm going to go fight MMA for money.
I miss him.
I miss him, too.
I do.
Dude, he declined ADCC. I was super disappointed he declined ADCC. I was like, we're going to see him again. He was like, I'm actually going to go fight for money.
He's a really good fighter, though, so he should keep going. But I'm super sad that he's gone still, because he was my favorite person to watch.
He is super fun.
Yep.
So, and other news, kind of last piece of news, Gordon Ryan, we talked about last week, him being out of the December card for Third Coast Grappling down in Houston. And we speculated a lot about injury and a surgery, and I actually spoke to the promoter for the event, and he went, nope, just a scheduling thing. So we talked for a huge length about that last week, kind of baselessly, and so I want to put a correction out there that it's just a scheduling thing.
Nice.
There's nothing else there. I wish there was honestly more. I was like, oh, he actually has a surgery, but it was just like, nope, we're just rescheduling it. So
I double booked a Saturday. That's awesome.
So I'm gonna try, as we kind of try to get more professional on the show, to kind of not issue retractions, but like correct stuff that was incorrect the previous week, especially if it's in the news. Like, hey, we got news wrong, like stuff like that.
But you're not ridiculous. Like, you don't reach too far. You speculate a little bit, and then you say the correct thing later. That's
we also
fine.
try to talk
That's
about
normal.
it like it is speculation.
You're not like a tabloid or anything.
No, God, no. I hope we'd never become that. That'd be. I would stop doing the show. If we became
you're not
like
guessing
tabloid
shit.
book.
You're just bringing up possibilities.
Yeah. So I think that does it for news. Want the recaps?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So one quick thing, we actually had an interview with Hollis Gracie scheduled for this episode. That interview did not end up happening, so we're going to try to reschedule that for a later episode, but we're going to talk about it throughout the episode. Just know it's actually not on this episode. Sorry about that. We're going to try to reschedule it for the future. So on to a recap of Kinetic?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to call it Kinetic.
Okay, I'm going to call it Kinetic because that's...
Are you serious?
It's how...
We got to at least agree on something.
Okay, let's call it Kinetic.
Right,
it's
Kinetic.
easier to say, and we'll just ignore the K in the middle of the word.
Now I'm confused. Okay, so Kinetic Grappling 1. This was basically an American quintet style event. This was kind of, it seemed like it was a joint promotion between like Uriah Faber and Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
I think I couldn't quite tell. Like we had Submission Underground team there. We had four. So if you're not familiar with what quintet is, we have a quintet show. We talk about what quintet is. Basically, it is 4 teams that weigh in under a certain weight. Each team has 5 grapplers, and then those grapplers go on, and grappler 1 fights grappler 1 on the other team. If grappler from the first team beats the grappler of the second team, that grappler stays in. You go on to the second member of the second team. Once a full team is eliminated, the team that does have grapplers remaining goes on, and so team 1 fights team B, and the team C fights Team D. This is the worst explanation ever.
Yep.
And then eventually you get to the 2 winning teams from the preliminary rounds fighting each other, and then the last team to have remaining grapplers is the victor. In this case, BJJ Fanatics had a bunch of ADCC guys, and everyone else did not.
Yep.
So this is basically... the recap for this event is basically going to be AKA ADCC guys are really fucking good.
Yes.
Like Lachlan Giles. So, okay, let's
make an all-star team. And then I guess put them against other people who are also very good, but there's different levels. There's different levels of good. Jiu-jitsu.
ADCC good. So BJJ Fanatics versus Team Lights Out. So the 2 teams, BJJ Fanatics consisted of for the preliminary round, Lachlan Giles. Lachlan Giles beat 5 grapplers in a row.
Everyone.
By submission.
He beat all of Lights Out Urban Achievers.
By submission.
The entire...
In regulation. Lachlan
Correct.
Giles is 5'5", and he is in the under 77 kilogram division for ADCC. He is a monster.
He's 165.
I would not want to fight anyone a month out from ADCC. Okay, it's a giant thunderclap just happened outside. I apologize if you heard that on the recording.
Yeah, it's louder in my head than I feel like it was outside, which is
really
creepy as shit.
Sorry about that. So let's go to the first match. Lachlan Giles defeats Muncher Kara via inside heel hook. This was honestly the matchup I thought would kind of be the most that Lachlan would struggle the most with initially.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that I thought this was going to be one where this was my favorite heel hook, probably because it was against Kara and just the fact that I respected him so much as an opponent. Not to say the others aren't, but just I thought he would have the most trouble. So when he finished it, I was just like, what the hell? That must have been super technical.
Right. He gets his treetop, gets him down, and then I think it's like under 2 minutes. Like it's a really relatively quick heel hook.
It was almost like Kara was not respecting it as much and kind of like sitting there, and then all of a sudden he bellied down and turned into it. And it was like, oh shit, there it is.
Yeah, Lachlan just grabs the heel hook. So Lachlan moves on, and then the second member from Team Lights Out is Will Weed, who also gets got by Lachlan in an inside heel hook. You see Lachlan playing from the bottom, playing an inversion game. Again, he's going for the legs. Weed just keeps defending, and yeah, take it, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I thought the second match we did a better job than anybody else. That was the best fight, and he actually put Giles in a little bit of problems.
He had a back crucifix for a while.
Yeah,
didn't he
had
and
a back crucifix.
Had that one arm choke really
and that shit
deep.
was deep. That was very deep.
You actually saw Lachlan's face getting a little red there.
That was absolutely choking him for sure. And if he could have kept the position, like I guess his hips on the back of his hips, or just kept a little bit of back control without him getting his shoulders to the ground, without Giles getting his shoulders to the ground, I think he could have finished it. But he just fought and moved, and eventually got out, got on top, and then ended up finishing him with a heel hook later.
But I think the finishing was really funny here because you had some back and forth. And Will Weed, after having a deep position, they both stood up, and then Will sits down, and Lachlan goes to engage. And then, because Lachlan's been kind of passing with almost like a Toriano style passing for most of it. And then instead of going to the Toriano, he just slots the leg into like a leg drag into heel hooks.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was sneaky.
That was the only one he did from the top.
Yeah, because he'd been playing the same game where he's like, I'm a Toriano pass this way, and then he goes to Toriano and then just goes to the leg drag and just whips it. And it was like sneaky.
His guard was amazing. He guarded everybody. Yeah. I mean, even the arm bar that we'll get to about Riggs in the next match, he had him, he was framing him, and Riggs was just coming in like a bull in a china shop with his head down. Giles got his leg over top of the head, started attacking the far arm, and then Riggs jumped over to try to get out of it, but didn't.
We talked about that. So next match, Lachlan Giles defeats Joe Riggs. Yes, that Joe Riggs.
Yeah.
By armbar. I was looking through, I was like, wait, not by heel hook? Oh, it was armbar, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This was a really interesting, we saw actually Giles playing from like a violent arm lock position in the guard, which is that arm lock they do over the top on the neck.
Yep.
It's like uncontrolled in space.
Yeah.
And then once he gets Riggs in the arm, like you were talking to me about it, like Riggs did like a weird escape. And like he didn't he moved incorrectly, and Giles just made the adjustment and just kept the arm.
Yes. He jumped over in terms of basically putting himself on his own back, or at least getting there. So Giles only had control of his right shoulder. He actually wasn't controlling his face in order to push like Riggs' shoulders to the mat and then finish like a traditional armbar, or at least push his face away from him. He only had that one shoulder, but because Riggs hopped to the other side, it gave him the angle I felt like he needed to put pressure on the elbow, and it almost like panic tapped him, because you see Riggs slam the mat afterwards. I think he was a little frustrated that he got snagged.
He got beat by a little guy, because Riggs used to fight a heavyweight,
and he's probably used to running through people like that, or at least ripping his arm out when it gets there, not necessarily like, oh shit, I think my arm's gonna break.
Yeah, but super impressive by Lachlan. So we move on to the fourth match in a row for Lachlan. Oh, by the way, he only has 30 seconds between each match.
Oh, we're
right. Running through.
I forgot to mention
quickly.
that. Yeah,
it's not like a minute. He doesn't have 5 minutes to recover. He's beating this guy, beating guys that are all bigger than him.
Yeah,
and then immediately going to the next match.
Love this event.
Dude,
love this event.
The pacing on it was really good.
The ref was basically like, hurry up and finish him. And then they would go back and they're like, you got 30 seconds. And then the next teammate would already be waiting for that guy who's taking a break. I mean, I think the event was like 2.5 hours or
quick.
something.
Like the entire video was like bop, 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 bop. They didn't do the thing I liked, which is at least in the event I watched for Fight Pass, this on Fight Pass, they didn't do like the submission attempt, round, next match. Like in Quintet, they actually break it up by like grappler and actually by like, it's a little easier to scroll through.
Yeah.
This one was just a single video, and I'm not sure why they did it like that, because usually for most grappling events for Fight Pass, they are all like broken up with like round start, submission attempt, walk out, one walk, and there wasn't any of that for this one. So I'm not sure. I don't know exactly why it was done that way, but I hope that either gets added or in future events that gets put on, because that makes replaying stuff for what we do, like taking notes for stuff after the fact, way easier.
It's beneficial for them. Anything that anybody does extra work-wise in terms of organizing your events allows us to recap them with more detail, and it just makes it better.
Yeah. So you missed this one, actually. We were going through our notes before the match. On the next match, Lachlan Giles versus Chris Lytle.
My OCD was kicking in as I was looking down and realizing that I only copied 4 of the matches. I watched them all, but for some reason I didn't write it down. I couldn't accept the fact that it wasn't on my paper. But it's not. So I'm still a little frustrated, but
Lachlan Giles finishes a really quick heel hook of Chris Lytle. I mean, that's probably why I didn't have it, because it was
very fast.
Like
by the time I was writing Giles, I think it was over.
It was real quick. Just honestly, just Chris Lytle kind of goes to pull out his leg and try to do the running man escape, and Lachlan just kind of holds on it, and then just like finishes the angle, makes the heel hook.
Got the bite in the back of the knee, and he could get away.
Yeah, really good. So next match, final match. So, but right now you have Lachlan Giles, under 77 kilogram ADCC entrant, versus Rico Rodriguez, who is the 20. I'm gonna get this wrong. Rico Rodriguez, I know, has 3 places in ADCC.
I think it was 1998 gold, 99 silver, and then 2000 bronze. Because we were just saying that it's every year. They didn't. They didn't bump it to 2 years.
When they used to run ADCC every single year.
Yep.
He has an absolute bronze.
Beat Randy Couture.
He has an under 99 gold. But so Rico Rodriguez is a gangster.
Yeah.
But this is really cool because you saw a guy that was heavyweight above 99 19 years ago is the last time he's appeared in ADCC, versus current under 77 kilogram Lachlan Giles. And Lachlan Giles gets it done.
Gets it done.
And we saw, it was really cool, we saw kind of a difference in meta here. Lachlan's going for the heel hook because that's what he's doing. And Rico is doing that really kind of old school defense of, like, he's grabbing the hands, he's grabbing the head. And Rico's much, much bigger than Giles, too.
It's and it's kind of like, I felt like Rodriguez was sitting there like, if this young guy grabs my legs, I'm just gonna tap.
I don't know. He defended it for a while, and then Giles was able to like kind of really actually coolly like get his knee above Rodriguez's knee. And like get the heel, because he has like a cross side, and you see how long Rodriguez's leg is. He's actually, Lachlan's able to control the knee like a lot less than I kind of anticipate on this, because he's so small. He can get all of his leverage below the leg and sort of just like slide over. Really cool heel hook. So now Lachlan Giles has beat 5 grown men in a row for Team BJJ Fanatics. Gordon Ryan has not gone. Craig Jones has not gone.
Edwin
Najmi has not gone, and Nick Rodriguez has not gone. So you have 4 fresh guys for the next event. Do you want to go for Sugg versus Lionheart?
Yeah, let's do it. And just and if I could have picked any of those other guys, I would have thought not to put anything against Giles, but I would have thought any of those other guys, just because their weight was a little closer, to have run through everybody. I didn't think the guy at 165 pounds was going to take everybody out.
We'll talk about what Lachlan said at the end of this. And just after spoiler, BJJ Fanatics beats everyone
with his guard. Okay, so Sugg versus Lionheart. There was a little bit more draws here, not as many subs.
Oh, if you draw in this format, both guys are limited. This will come up later as well. So it's like, so if you do run out, there's no overtime. It's just like, look, both guys are limited. I think it puts an emphasis on finishing guys, and that like you have exciting matches, because Alex Viana talks about it. You're losing in this format until you win.
Yeah.
Basically, like, there is no like, it's like, unless you sub the guy, you're both losing, and so it really incentivizes like, you've got to go for the finish.
If I was ever going to do an event, I think like I would have to add that in. That's the part that if I'm watching an event, the thing that I like.
It only works for the team format. I don't know how you'd implement it.
No, you're right. I got. Yeah,
but it's cool though, and like these events, all these quintet style events, like produce really fun action.
Yeah, it's true.
Cool.
Because I feel like if we didn't have the team format, it would just turn into Metamoris, where there's just tons of draws. I mean, if you remember
Metamoris 2, where it was the draw, the drawing,
all of them were. I don't remember.
I think there was. Was there one with all draws?
There was. I don't know. They had a couple. They had a couple good matches, but
there were some great matches in Metamoris. There's some other issues with that.
Yeah, whatever. Well. Let's talk about the events that are still around.
We had you had Sugg versus Lionheart. We had Guillermo Vascalones drew with Brian Sparrow. Anything on the match you want to talk about, or just want to move to the next one?
Let's move to the next one.
We have George Rodriguez defeating Scott Morton by armbar.
That was a good armbar, really slick, and really impressed with Rodriguez being 42 years old. Still getting it done. Crazy.
We had George Rodriguez drew with James Brasco.
Yep, knocked them both out.
Yep, so then we move on to the next one for each member of the team. So we had Enrique Coco defeating Rafael Domingos via inside heel hook.
Now, here's something I don't know that I should. I don't understand the penalty setup at the beginning because I think Coco started on Domingo's back, or was it vice versa?
What happened was, and I didn't get it either. So like both guys drew in the previous match.
Right.
And then there was like a 30-second timer, and what it seemed like is both teams had to produce a grappler and put them into the center circle before the 30 seconds was over.
Okay.
And then...
So it didn't happen, and that's why they were like, who's the first one that got in
and then it was
there?
like who the first one to get in the circle was. So even though Domingos was on the mat first, he wasn't in the circle first.
Yeah.
And so Rico got to start on his back.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't, at least from what I heard, like what the pieces... I didn't...
What a crazy penalty, by the way.
Dude.
What a crazy penalty.
That's pretty crazy.
What were they talking about in those 30 seconds to know that the end game was going to be to lose the most dominant position, although he got out?
Yeah,
so
he did
not
get
much
out.
To say.
It was at least on the broadcast when I was listening, it wasn't communicated super clear to me. I don't know, I think you had the same problem.
Yeah.
We were kind of like confused. Like they kind of explained it, but it was like all of a sudden a guy starts in the overtime and it's like, okay, all of a sudden he's on his back and that's apparently the penalty. I didn't get that, like... And they can apparently start at different places too. It was explained a little funny,
right?
But Domingos gets out and eventually is gotten by an inside heel. Like any other technical pieces on that match?
No.
So we have Coco drawing with Gabriel Checo.
Yep.
And then in the finals match, we have Ronnie Marks defeating Joe Warren via Kesagatame. Head and arm.
Yeah.
And he kind of big dogged him.
Yeah.
Like Warren is a really good grappler, but like he was the Bellator 135, 145 pound champion. Ronnie Marks is 145 and his like his torso, maybe?
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna say, and really
he was big.
That mounted head and arm triangle. I mean, it could have been bending his neck or his shoulder more than choking or
it was
anything.
Like,
it's just like
the arm like basketed in and just started like crunching him down.
That hurts my elbow more than anything now.
Oh, I
like,
have bad shoulders.
When I'm folded,
it jacks my shoulders.
I don't like that. I
the
can't.
Elbow's fine. I can't do the shoulder anymore.
I feel like everybody's probably got something a little different, but I'm sure whatever was doing that hurt a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, Joe Warren's a tough dude.
Yeah.
So Ronnie Marks taps him with like being giant and like honestly Kesagatame like head and arm crush like
right.
Good. I mean it's a good submission and especially in this rule set when you're in an absolute like use your size, use your strength as a tool and he does. And
we'll say also he was being a nice guy at the beginning. He was trying not to use his weight and it looked like all of a sudden he was just like, you know what, never mind, I'm competing, and then just like all right, I'm getting mountain, I'm crushing your.
There was a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So let me go to the finals.
Before we go to the next. Wait, that was the finals, right? Or that was the end of Lionheart versus Sugg.
There's some super fights as well. Do you want to talk about those, or you want to move on to the finals?
First, who was the ref of this event?
Frank Trigg.
Frank Trigg, yeah. Okay, so one of my favorite things about this event was Frank Trigg, about how he ran everybody in the circle. He kept it tight, like he kept everybody in line and would literally stop the match like a dad to make sure that everybody was paying attention. He's like, hey, you, pick up your fucking blocks. Like, we're not, you got to eat your dinner.
It was one point where he was like, there was like a restart. It was like on the side of the stage.
Yeah.
And they were like restarting them.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So it was Coco versus Checo, and Checo was getting a little chippy, as Emil would say, and was shoving Coco as they got close to the edge. And who was the ref? What was his name?
Frank Trigg.
Frank Trigg. Dude, I gotta write it down.
We went over this before the recording,
I got all these names written down. It's a bunch of last names, and I keep wanting to say Riggs because it's right in front of me.
That's really funny.
Okay, so anyway,
Frank Trigg.
So Frank Trigg,
the MMA fighter.
The MMA. That's not gonna help.
Okay, back in the day, fought Robbie Lawler and everyone else pretty much.
Anyway, he did a great job of stopping the match, and he was like, hey, Checo, make sure when he's near the edge, you don't push him. And he was like, okay. And he didn't get the respect I feel like he thought he deserved, so he literally waved his hand. He stopped the match, and he was like, hey, Checo, make sure when you get near the edge, you don't push him off again. You got it or something? He's like, yeah, I got it. He's like, you sure? He's like, yeah. He's like, okay, you can fight again. I was like, that's the guy right there.
I think Frank Triggs also an MMA ref now.
Yeah. He's like, why, you want to fight?
Jesus, no.
Yeah.
No, I did not, Mr. Trigg.
Yeah, right.
I appreciated like the level. And also, this will come up in the next match. Yeah. We had BJJ Fanatics versus Team Sug. So we have the top 2 teams winning going on, and we have Nick Rodriguez. They selected Nick Rodriguez, Nick the Show Pony Rodriguez, to fight George Rodriguez, which was super confusing if you were looking at the names written out.
Rodriguez with a Z versus Rodriguez with an S.
And I wish they put the full names because that always helps me out.
Yep. Although I did like the organization. I noticed not even every... Sometimes just because you can see 2 names doesn't mean you know what team they're on or what section they are or who which person is. So I did like that they always had like the team and then the person right under.
They listed the team on one side. That was helpful. I like that. Like,
I always knew who I was looking at.
Yeah, anything for picture-in-picture if you're going to do for competitors. I like that you leave it up the entire time with the time. Like that's
I mean, you just heard my brain with Triggs and Riggs. Like, you got to make it simple, or I'm gonna break down.
Like, I honestly love what the UFC does, where they leave the name at the bottom the entire time with the trunk color. Yeah, like and they also have the round. Like, you can tell, like, you know where you are on the round. You know, like who the guys.
I want all the information. I don't want to see 2 guys grapple. I need to know what's going on.
Especially for us, particularly because we cover like 50 matches.
You're right.
We look at like 50 matches a weekend on like a light weekend. Like this weekend, we have 4 full events that we're kind of recapping. Plus, CJJ is happening tonight.
Right.
We're going to cover that probably next week on the show. So it's like, stuff gets jumbled around. So it's really helpful to have like the names on the bottom there. Like, hey, this is who you're watching, so that like, okay, in this match it's purple belt, it's brown belt. Like, it's all really helpful for me.
Yep.
So it was really funny. Rodriguez with a Z versus Rodriguez with an S.
Yes.
So we see Nick Rodriguez playing kind of the same game, but better. He looks like he's got even better top control. He's flattening out George Rodriguez really, really well. His leg pummeling looks better. It looks like he's having kind of a problem passing for a good section of the match, and he's like,
a little problem with the half guard.
Yeah, a little problem with the half guard. He's addressing it well, and he's flattened out George really, really well. And then with like probably 40 seconds left, he goes, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna heel hook him.
Yeah, why not? Looked like I don't know if he was injured or not, but he seemed to be holding his leg after.
George Rodriguez looked like he got heel hooked hard.
Yeah,
and when it was funny,
I feel like everything that guy does is probably violent as hell.
Nick Rodriguez cuts to make 230.
Yeah,
like, and you see how he looks.
Yeah,
like he cuts weight to make 200. He posted on Instagram. I forget what it was. I think like he was up like 247 or something like that. Or like, dude's big, giant dude, and he moves like that. And then when he finished this heel hook, he finished it. By the way, we've never seen Nick finish a heel hook before. So he's adding these new tools to his game.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
That's terrifying. He's getting better passing. His top control is getting better. He's getting better at flattening out. And now he can heel hook.
Yeah,
like enjoy the one place you were kind of safe before a little bit.
Yeah,
he can heel. We saw him like during Quentin Rosenberg. He kind of threw it up a little bit.
Yeah.
During the Substars match, but he finished it in this match.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, he's getting.
Good.
He's getting better very quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that before the show, where I was like, oh, look at him having a little trouble passing. Man, I wonder when Danaher gets him into like some leg locks if he's going to start doing that, because he's already a freak athlete.
Right.
You know, he can arm drag, rear naked face somebody and just break jaws. And I think it was actually I saw Danaher have like an interview. And on Instagram, he said something where Rodriguez was like, if I can set in the choke below the guy's eyebrows, I know I can suffocate him or something like that. And it was like, that's such an amazing thing, and probably 100% true.
I think it was, if I get a hold of you, what was it? Yeah, if I get a grip on you below your eyebrows, either I'm taking it out or choking or something like that.
Yeah.
It was just like, yo, that was gangster.
Yeah.
But he finished with 30 seconds. It was really cool. His heel hook here, it was high up in the elbow, but he finished it. He didn't turn finish. He pulled and finished it. So he like pulled it to his body. It was a really interesting kind of finishing mechanic that you see big guys are able to do, and dude gets it done. Gets it done fast.
Yeah.
Anything else on that one?
Amazing.
So next match we had Nick Rodriguez versus Ronnie Marks. Back and forth on the feet. Like Emil says, it got chippy.
This was chippy.
And at one point, Ronnie Marks like whacks him in the face.
It was straight up
all the sweat, like.
The camera angle switches right when he swings. It's the greatest thing. It's like a slow-mo commercial almost.
And you see all the sweat just bang on his face. And this is when Frank Trigg's like, hey, like, I'll DQ both of you. I don't give a shit.
Right in the dad mode.
And it was like, and everyone both kind of like, okay, like Frank Trigg has stepped on, and we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So like, there go. And I was really impressed here with Rodriguez. And we saw Rodriguez do this at finishers. We've seen him do it at Substars. We've seen him do it like a bunch of different matches. He like gets like low, like almost in like a running stance, like low and like almost on all fours.
Yeah.
And he'll like swipe for like a low single, and he uses it to take the back.
Yeah.
So he's like taking guys down into the back mount.
Yeah, because I noticed what a lot of people do is they try to kind of turn to stay up, and then when they post their hands, it's like they're in downward facing dog.
And he jumps on you.
And he jumps on you for sure.
We saw him do it twice here.
Yeah.
And it's like the thing is he's getting better and better at this.
Yeah.
Like it's been a tool we've seen in his toolbox for the last year plus we've covered him.
Yeah.
And he's like, now when he's jumping it, like the single leg's always there. I think it's this timing is good. All that takedown sequence is really good. But now we're seeing him actually able to get onto the back and like settle and like immediately start choking guys. And he's able to get on Ronnie's back for a long time.
I was surprised he couldn't finish, honestly.
In the last minute and a half he was on, he was just going. He just couldn't finish. I think had he had another 30 seconds, he probably would have finished.
Definitely.
But like he didn't, so they both draw, so he's out. And then they take on Team BJJ Fanatics. I cannot speak today. I've had a rough weekend. BJJ Fanatics, you have Gordon Ryan step on the mat.
Yep.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Everyone not named Felipe Pena.
Yeah, pretty
honestly,
much. You're right.
Like who else has beat him recently?
No one.
Vinny Magalhaes.
Yeah.
And Pena. And Vinny pointed him, and Pena, like I think subbed him.
And then pointed him. I think.
Yeah. So.
I think he rear naked choked him and pointed him once.
So Gabriel Checo. I have some really funny notes about Gordon here that I'm not going to read. I just thought it was really funny. Basically, Gordon Ryan's very, very good. Unless you're those two guys, good luck. Checo kind of gets him in like a deep half guard position almost, and you see Gordon like identify, almost go to the reverse triangle there, which is always available when someone's in deep half. But Checo doesn't have the right grips to like be able to establish like the deep half off the lockdown he needs. And actually wasn't a lockdown. He was like in kind of like a deep half like X position with his legs. And Gordon just grabs the top Kimura, which is there in that deep half position, and he just starts fighting the grips. And Checo's hands kind of on the S grip, pull apart, and Gordon just gets it out and just finishes it immediately. And honestly, this Kimura has a really weird finish to it, and so it comes on super quick, and Gordon doesn't have to move at all to finish the Kimura.
Yeah, definitely a Kimura. They said arm lock like during the finish or arm bar or something like that, one of the commentary, but it was a Kimura as he was like bending it in.
Yeah. It was a Kimura.
It
was arm down.
Yeah.
It was an Americana. Yeah. Arm lock.
Yeah, shoulder lock.
Arm lock.
Shoulder lock, whatever.
In quotes there.
Whatever.
So next match, we have Gordon Ryan defeating Rafael Domingos via rear naked choke. Gordon comes out aggressive with the butt scoot. And
yep. Good with the Kimura grip again.
Yeah, I was saying it was really funny because I was thinking about what Domingos' game plan was going. This is a smaller guy. He's not as big as Ryan. So Ryan's sitting in the Z shield. Like, you can't leg lock him, right?
Right.
You can't really pass him. Because he gets you out because you're not bigger than him. Like, João Gabriel had kind of some success there in that round because he could put the weight on him. You're smaller than him. You can't pass him like that.
He blew out his knee and he still couldn't pass him.
Right.
So it's just, yeah.
So if you're smaller, you can't pass him.
Yeah.
So Domingos honestly does what I think you should do.
You got to blow out his knee first.
He starts like trying to cartwheel pass him.
Yeah.
Or like, trying to like basically jump over past him.
Yeah.
And I was really like, I thought about it. I was like, actually, that's like what else are you going to do?
No.
You can't sit with the leg lock.
That's exactly what I thought. It's like, at least he tried something.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, okay, I can either sit in his Z guard
and get a knee cut?
Right.
You're going to double under? Like, what are you going to do? You know?
Right.
Yeah,
So it's like if you have that, like, you're not as big, you're not, like, those are the things you have. I honestly thought it was a really good, like, that was your option there, and he did it. He didn't just, like, sit and wait to be got. He was active and, like, pushing forward. Like, maybe I can catch Gordon Ryan.
Yeah.
Probably not. But you give yourself the option with those aggressive passes, but then you realize that Gordon Ryan can also scramble really, really good.
Yeah.
And he gets Domingos back, gets him, like, a topside crucifix, gets a back crucifix, and
Gordon Ryan is like, it's a dude full of systems. Like, you see him go to his specific positions, and then when he gets to these certain spots, he like excels through that system and beats that person.
Yep.
Somebody goes to deep half, he gets the Kimura, he either triangles your head or beats the Kimura, or like he can start passing from there. If he gets you in your headlock, he had an arm and guillotine here.
Yep.
He's just like, everything he does, he gets to like a very dominant position, and then there's like 4 points to the finish from there, and it happens over and over. I remember with Quintet, which I was actually lucky enough to jump on and get to watch that, where he ran through everybody.
Yep.
And we're seeing the same thing here. He got in a lot of deep half positions, grabbed the Kimura, and was just sitting on faces.
This is a cool one because he actually grabs a Kimura here, and he uses a Kimura trap, that basic Kimura trap we saw Craig Jones hit on Tex Johnson. We've seen, like, he just grabs it, he pulls it off, he gets to the back, and he actually finishes with, like, a nice rear naked face on there. It was beautiful. And then so next match, final match for Team Sug Team Sug? Yeah, Team Sug versus Team BJJ Fanatics was Gordon Ryan defeating Guilherme Vascones via arm in guillotine. And you see Ryan start to set this up at the beginning. Then one of the first things that he sits and he starts like doing the Marcelo, like the head snap down guillotine over and over. And you're like, oh, look at that. And you see Vasquez, like, Guilherme. Vasconcelos.
You're welcome.
Vasconcelos starts to like lean over the feet a little bit.
Yep.
And Gordon picks up on this eventually and is able to basically butterfly sweep him. Because basically one thing you should do with anytime you're attacking like a straight on guard, is someone seated, is you should never put your head over your knees because it off balances you. And if a guy kicks out your base or lifts you up, you're like able to rotate the guy. So when I play butterfly, like that's the thing I'm looking for is I want to get your head in front of your knees.
Yeah.
As soon as I've done that, I don't care how big you are. I can usually elevate you and lift you and throw you and whatever I want to.
Same.
And like
whether you get the hook on the thigh or even shin on shin, that's when you're like head over the hips is like you're already on your way to the ground.
And so he does that, and Gordon is basically able to get the sweep, gets the guillotine in.
Yep. So he kind of swept him, and with him trying to fight, him being Vasconcelos, trying to fight out of the butterfly sweep, he kind of went to like a turtle position, or at least
they got shoulders on back. I forgot about that.
So Gordon Ryan got like his chest over his back and kind of had a head and arm, and that's when he started working the arm and guillotine, which I have to watch that again. It really looked like he almost had one hand fully under, and then the other hand is like his hands weren't connected. They were just like pushing into each other.
I saw that too. So 3 things. Arm and guillotines are not guillotines. They are arm and chokes. They have an entirely different finishing mechanic than like a guillotine does because you have to finish when you turn the angle on the side.
Yeah.
2, the hand clasp thing is a thing that Jeff Monson does when finishing the north-south chokes. I don't know. I played with it before. It's super weird, but if you don't know, basically what we're doing is take your hands in front of you and then make like an X like you're DQing someone, but just with the hands. That's not even a grip. That's like the position that Monson and Gordon Ryan kind of used here to finish. It was weird. He's kind of like half class, but that's what, when Jeff Monson locks up a north-south choke or a Monson choke, like that's what he's doing underneath you is this. And I don't know exactly what, but there's a DVD instructional where he talks about it, and I've played with it, and it's such a weird, like, hand position. I can't quite figure it out. I need to figure it out, but I saw Gordon Ryan kind of do it with his hands here. So there's something there that I need to look at.
Yeah, it looks super tight. I mean, the guy wasn't like fighting out of it. He was like, "I'm gonna die." I mean, that shit was. It was almost like a 10-finger guillotine, like when you're just pulling on somebody's neck. It looked like that, except his arm was in.
Yeah, it's really, really similar finishing mechanic.
Shit looked really uncomfortable, but I'm interested.
It was rough, and then so Gordon Ryan's team, BJJ Fanatics, wins. Craig Jones didn't go.
Yep.
Edwin Najmi didn't go. And who's the other guy didn't go?
That was it. Just because the Giles. Because,
Giles won the first round. So
because,
2 guys.
Because he's already beat 5 people.
2 guys. And so in Giles' interview on the first one, Giles said, "I might be the worst guy in my team."
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that. I was like, is he joking?
Yeah.
Or like not? Because I was thinking, okay, he's the smallest guy. Like technical wise, I don't know if he's the worst guy on his team, but I was like, okay, like Craig Jones from a technical perspective trains with Giles, so it's like, I think Giles has actually said that Craig is better. I don't know if he has, but like Craig has really fucking good.
Or at least instead of him being bigger, it's hard to he's 200, he's 165. Right. He probably gets the best of him.
Gordon Ryan has multiple wins over Craig.
Right.
Okay, so we can assume like they're in quotes they're like better.
Right.
And then Najmi, I don't know if they've ever faced any of those guys, but it's like him and Giles are like both ADCC guys, both like really good, but it's like I don't know if Giles was joking about that or not.
Yeah.
Like Giles is really fucking good.
He's good.
Going to ADCC, and he still might be like the least like dangerous guy on that team, and he still went through 5 people.
Yeah.
This event is the best display of there are levels to this game that anyone could have ever done. Because there's a bunch of really good grapplers on this, like ex-ADCC guys, like guys we've seen before, like Manshur Carroll, like guys that are dangerous in their own respect, and guys going to ADCC ran through them. I don't really have a whole lot else other than like...
I guess you shouldn't... I don't know if I can say that. You shouldn't be able to beat 5 people in a row with 30-second break.
If you're going... That's the level, though. I'm saying,
you know what I mean?
You have guys...
Like, I'm almost watching it like, this is really impressive / it shouldn't be happening.
No, but that's kind of the point across... The point I want to get across the levels.
Yeah.
Is like, guys going to ADCC everyone sees this big tournament. It's like the level that you have to get either an invite to ADCC or to win a trials event to ADCC or to be a returning champion ADCC is astronomical. Like your average grappler, your average good grappler, your average black belt can't get there.
Yeah.
So the guys going and winning trials are something special. They may have areas in their game where they're limited or may have like places they don't excel or can be beaten by guys, but overall, those guys are monsters. And this shows you, like Lachlan, a smaller guy at 77 that won a trial spot, still beat 5 very competent, very good grapplers, some of which were black belt level, and experienced veterans that were all bigger than him. And it didn't matter because that's how good he is.
Yeah.
So that's why,
Amazing.
again, I'm so excited about ADCC because this shows you the level of how good guys are.
Did you see at the end also Jones and Najmi? This was right at the end, right before they did the replay. Sorry for poking the table so loudly. That Najmi and Jones fake did the high five bump like they were going to roll. Right at the end, right before it cut out because they didn't get to go.
I didn't see this.
It's really funny.
Oh
right
my
at the
God, I
end,
missed that.
Everybody should pull that up just for like as a few seconds.
Did they roll?
No, because it cuts off so fast. But Najmi, like they do the fist bump and then Najmi gets down like they're going to grapple and then it cuts and starts going through and then the next time it comes back, they're all lined up like ready to take their victory or something. But that was funny. So, good little tidbit.
Cool event. I love this format. I want to see more of it. I would honestly rather honestly, this was great. I love seeing like events like this.
Yep.
I hope that they keep doing these events, and I hope that we get more like teams. I would love to see another team that can compete with the guys like the guys on the level of BJJ Fanatics.
Yeah.
Like it would be really cool. I would love to see them do what they've done with Team 10th Planet in the past, and like brought the previous team winners up, and like I would love to see. Like you bring a whole new row of teams in every time you do this and then have like your champion teams fight off. Like I think there's a really cool format here and it makes for really exciting grappling. So anybody else doing the quintet format, more power to you. I love watching it and it's really a blast to cover.
Yep.
Anything else?
No.
It does it. So moving on to our our recap of Kasai Pro 6. This event featured a 135-pound tournament, which was awesome, by the way, as well as a bunch of super fights. We're going to start off talking about the tournament, and then we're going to go super fights after. Again, my weekend was a little rough, so you want to go with the first round? Or where do you want to start in this one? Do you want to go through all the rounds, or you want to just go on to like the finals? What do you want to do?
Let's just start with the first round and kind of work our way through. I won't go match by match, but I'll start talking about people in like a general form because everybody faces everybody and like there's points and that can get really confusing.
Kasai for their tournaments runs a format where they break off. It's an 8-man division and they break off Group A and Group B. Then the 4 guys in Group A fight everyone from Group A, and the 4 guys from Group B fight everyone in Group B. So you get 4 matches per round because everyone fights each other, and then the winners, either by points or by submission, you get more points based on that, go into the finals. So the person after the group stages that has the most will either fight for the first place match or fight for the second and third place, or the third and fourth place match. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, watch the event. It's awesome. So where the way we're going to cover this is just talk about kind of like general like vibe for the people.
Yes.
And like what you saw from people, not necessarily specific matches in each of the group stages, because that would be like talking about 15 matches.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the finals match and the third place match, and then kind of talk about that. So if that makes any sense, just because there's so many matches to cover.
Yep.
So where do you want to start with this one, Ryan?
Actually, I will start with the first match, oddly, only because I know after all that shit we just said, but it was a really cool standing rear naked choke by Meow. It was the highlight that maybe everybody's seeing on Instagram that came off of it versus Alarcon.
Ryan, we're like literally 5 minutes before this segment started, was like, how do you say his name? Like Alarcon.
Yeah, his name's Richard.
Richard.
So Richard gets choked, unfortunately. But it was a really cool rear naked choke. And I always figured like Meow would be the favorite for this. Mm-hmm. And we
talked about him last week being the favorite because he has wins over most of the guys in this event. A couple guys have wins. I forget who has wins over. I think maybe Gio had like a really...
I think he pointed him.
I think, last time.
Yeah. So it does. So it gave me hope for everybody. I was actually looking at Kallenstein. I thought he would do a little better. I don't know why. I've seen him coming up through the ranks.
We've seen Kallenstein like win beat versus Gio. Like, a lot of these guys have faced each other before, but it's like Kallenstein, especially particular in the finals match with Alarcon. Like, these guys have faced each other before, and Alarcon kind of beat Kallenstein in the same way, kind of just with double leg and wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen Kallenstein. That's literally how their match went at ADCC Trials, the West Coast Trials, where Alarcon beat John Kallenstein then. And it's like we see Kallenstein really, really good in certain positions, but he tends to have a stance that makes him, for a guy like Alarcon, like susceptible to double legs.
Yeah.
And so...
And I thought Alarcon did a really good job after this match of actually, like, it's almost like he just brushed off the loss, went back to it, and gamed a few people strategy-wise, started focusing on his wrestling, and didn't allow people to tangle him up so much, and he ended up grabbing a few victories afterwards because of it.
Dude, Alarcon's really good that way, because what Alarcon does, like, he's gone through the trials already for this. Not trials. He's gone through the qualifier for this already. Like, him and Ocasio were in the finals of that last event to get the spot into this event, and there was a dropout, so Ocasio also got into this event. So, like, we've seen both these guys really familiar, and Junie's been through a bunch of these, and so both these guys are really familiar with what it takes to get it done in this kind of format. And so I think after the first match, we saw Alarcon kind of make those adjustments and, like, stick to his game plan.
And I would say, besides the fact that Meow won, Junie probably had the performance of the night, or the standout performances of the night.
First black belt matches.
Wow.
Like, he got promoted like 2 weeks ago or something, and then
I forgot about that.
Just got black belt, and then he's performing like this, and even his match versus Meow, like, Meow and him have been training together since he was a blue belt.
Yeah,
like, he trains at Unity. That was the finals was a teammate versus teammate match, and like Junie brought it, and like
he just pointed him. Yeah,
just pointed him, but dude, this is a
They know each other so well. They probably just cancel each other out at this point. Even like he's just like they know what each other's throwing.
But dude, I was amazingly impressed with like Junie in this. Like, this was a not a breakout performance, because we've seen him like we've talked about his breakout performances before, but like, this is him at black belt in this event, showing that, like, yo, he can compete on that level, and he's still getting better. Like issues and errors and things we've seen him do in the past, he's not doing those anymore. Like, he's constantly getting better. His leg locks, his positional control, his wrestling, like, his gamesmanship, all of that was on display here, and we just see him continue to get better, and it's really cool to see a guy that just got black belt doing that.
I think that he wasn't necessarily the best technical individual here, but he game planned Kasai the best out of everybody. The only reason, like you said, like Meow teaching him or something, but he was beating everybody based on points. It's like every time he had a sweep opportunity, he stood up.
Martinez. Like, and that's what we talked about. Like, every time he has that opportunity, he can capitalize. Like, he understands this rule set and what they're looking for so well. Like, only lost to Meow by a point. Like, 2-1. Like, beat Gio Martinez 4-0. Like, he gets that points. He gets those IBJJF scoring. Like, and like you said, every time there was an opportunity for him to be scoring, he, like, wasn't necessarily looking for the sub. He would kind of go, okay, I need to score here. I need to sweep here. And like, you saw it, I saw it. Like, he was going for those sweeps because those were what was winning him the matches.
Great strategy, and beat, really good people because of it. He deserved to be second place.
Definitely. What else do you want to talk about for these?
So, Imanari got heel hooked by Kallenstein.
That was crazy.
That was crazy, because not even Nicky Ryan could heel hook Imanari. He got him with rear naked face at the end of it, but they played the leg lock battle for a little bit. So I guess part of what I was saying was I expected Kallenstein to do a little bit better, because I know that's what he's capable of. Stuff like that.
Yeah, like you heel hooked Imanari. I mean, his name's not heel hook, but it's like the guy that's known for the Imanari roll to the heel hook and like a leg lock technician. But I think it was, you saw the kind of the differences in the era of the leg locks. Like, Imanari definitely has an older style leg lock game, and Kallenstein has like a newer style kind of like pathway to the leg locks. You think that's the right way to put it?
Yeah, I think that's the right way to put it. I'd say
that was super interesting. What else do you want to talk about?
Let's see. What is it? Gio, I thought Gio would do a little better, honestly, too. He didn't perform as well as I thought he could, and even though we're saying a lot about Junie, I don't think that Gio should have lost to Junie. I think that he should have either played the points better, or he actually looked really, really tired. I don't know if you thought the same thing.
I don't know.
He looked like he was gassed by the end, and I didn't know. I don't know why. I don't know.
Like, I don't think making 35 is, I know it's hard for him. Like, there was a video of him, like, cutting weight. I think Hanger posted a video of him cutting weight. Like, he's made the weight before. Like, I don't think maybe it was a really bad weight cut or something else was going on. But yeah, he just seemed like...
And I'm sure Junie wasn't making it easy in terms for him to rest or anything like that, because he's a scrambly guy, and he was doing everything to get those points.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, I think this was definitely an odd performance for Martinez, because we've seen Martinez look, like, way better than this, and it just was, like, it seemed like a weird night for him, and I don't want to, like... honestly, it's weird. I don't want to put too much stock in, like, a performance like this close to ADCC, but, like, he looked a little, like, off. I think it's the best way to kind of put it.
He loses sometimes when he shouldn't, in my opinion, and beats other people that I know he's good enough to beat. So I look at him as, like, that top-level talent who just isn't performing sometimes. And I don't know. He just seems like that guy who's right up there with everybody, but he just squeezes out a loss every once in a while, and I don't think it's bad decision making, or I don't know what it is. I can't.
It was just I can't. It's one of those I can't put my finger on exactly like what it was.
It's just a little bit of inconsistency for some reason. And then Williams did really well. He had second match. He beat Freitas by passing and then just getting to the back. Had a really nice rear naked choke. So he looked really well. I was excited to watch him. And then Freitas, he lost. I think. He actually got heel hooked by Meow. I was surprised Meow hit a heel hook. So
wait, you were surprised, Meow? The guy that's been training with Eddie Cummings.
Well, that's true.
And, like, looked amazing, and now he can play Berimbolo game. Now he can pass, and now he can heel hook guys.
I was just about to say that too, but
I just had to redact your previous statement.
He's climbed those, like, steps in terms of getting there. So you're right. I guess he should be. Especially, I completely forgot that Eddie.
You forgot the new leg lock game.
Yeah,
Dude,
that
him
Eddie Cummings
and
has been
Junie,
sitting there. Yeah,
like looked like real good with that new leg lock game, and like it's really cool. I forgot. It might have been Junie, might have been Meow. They do a thing that Cummings does, where they're knocking guys over, they're now basketing both legs with their hands and pulling it in to like try to trap both legs. And it's the thing that I not first saw, but like the guy that kind of popularized it in my head. Like the specific way they're doing the knockover and basking of both legs is the exact way that Cummings does it. Yeah. And I saw them both. I was like, oh,
I know Gary Tonin used to do that a lot too.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that like do.
But like, you're right. Cummings used to do that all the time.
I think Cummings does. Like you see some mannerisms in the way that they pummel their legs. It's like different than kind of the Danaher stuff, but like it's specifically the way that Cummings does it. Yeah. And both those guys, you're watching like implement those things into how they compete with like how they're pummeling the legs. Yeah. And I wish I had better kind of analysis on it, like. Other than like it looks different, but like there's a way that the Danaher guys do it, there's a way that the old school guys do it, and there's a way that like the Unity and kind of like the Cummings guys do it, where it just like they just looks different for how they're managing the legs. Yeah. And I'm gonna play with this more and figure out exactly what the differences are, because you see it, you know it.
Right. I think there's also points where like. There's a certain basics that you need to be able to control legs, but then everybody has their own little flavor about what they want to do, where they put their feet, or where they put what knee they trap, or what they go for in certain situations. So I guess
I have a preference side. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. So you want to move into the finals matches?
Yeah, let's move to the finals.
All right, let's move to the finals match. João Miyao defeats Junior Casio 2-1. This is a teammate fight. Junie came out super aggressive. Yep. And I was like, oh, he is going.
He's bringing it.
Dude, he threw a knee bar off the jump, like really similar, like really at the beginning when he's going for the passing sequence, he throws a knee bar, which I always laugh at whenever you try to like leg lock a Meow.
Yeah, right.
You're like, he's going to die before he taps to that. Like you would literally remove his leg from his body and
you have to choke him.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to beat him. Yeah. Points or choke.
Right.
Like you're not going to tap. It's not going to happen.
Even if he breaks, I think he would just break.
Dude, we've seen him break. Yeah. Like old school. Like I think Tonin toe holded him, and it was like just like broke the foot off, and he was just like he limped off the mat. He was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, what?
Yeah.
And we've seen Cummings do it. Like, dude. So he throws it. It looked good.
Yeah.
But just super aggressive back and forth. And it was a nice little sweep that Meow hits, is able to get on top, and Junie is able to get like a heel hook that he throws from like an X guard. That was really cool, and he kind of bellies down with it, but he's never really able to get the position fully established. But he gets a point for it, and that was the match.
Yeah, he ends up losing a really close match, but it was really good to see Junie take his wins all the way to the top, and to have two teammates fight so hard against each other was really entertaining. I think everybody knew just how Unity is, and they probably talked to him beforehand, but they're like, you guys are going to go at it, right? Because if you meet, we can't have.
Well, it was cool. They had no corners either.
Yeah.
Like Murillo was there and Paulo was there, and there was just like no corners. And you actually hear it on the broadcast. That, like, the broadcast brings it up, and like you can actually kind of hear how quiet it is. Like there's no one yelling onto the mat. And I was like, oh, that's actually like weird. I didn't notice that. Like I'm so used to hearing the corners like yelling. Yeah. And that match was like quiet. And I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
And it was a cool moment that both those guys kind of got to go out there in silence and just go for it. And like props to both those guys. Like super exciting match. Want to go to the third place match?
Yep.
This one we had Richard Alarcon defeating John Calistine. Takedowns.
Yeah, I was going to say, good strategy against a leg locker. It's exactly what I was saying from the beginning. After Meow choked him, he just like brushed that off and went and beat a few people by making sure he played the right game. He wasn't really. You're talking
about Alarcon, by the way.
Yeah, Alarcon. He wasn't really running away either. He was just engaging and keeping space the whole time. And he never let Calistine tangle him.
Yeah, he was engaging on his terms in a big way. Like, okay,
terms,
I want this exchange. I do not want this exchange. I want this exchange. I do not want this exchange.
Right.
And then like when they would stand up, Calistine kind of keeps that low, like sort of wrestler stance, but has a tendency to like stand up.
Yeah.
And Alarcon would see that and sort of like time his shots for that, and he was able to get Calistine down. John Calistine realizes this on the second one, so he's already down 2-0, and goes for like a Kimura on the takedown and kind of rolls Alarcon over, but he's never able to really like settle on top well.
Yeah.
And Alarcon's able to get the points and kind of basket up, and basically that's how the match finishes.
Yep.
Super excited to see Alarcon at ADCC.
Yeah. Also did a good job, Alarcon, of ducking his head down when he was keeping space because his feet were so far back, his head was a little low, so Calistine would start going for the headlock or guillotine.
Yep.
But he was like, I'll give you that over legs. So he would feel the neck and be able to back away, and I think he just dragged out that much time and got the points. Again, I think it was just a really good strategy.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was, again, really cool match. The whole tournament's worth watching. The finals match and the third place match is definitely worth your time for watching it. Want to go on Superfights?
Let's do it.
All right. What do you got first for Superfights?
Santana versus Webb.
All right, I will go there. Okay. So we had Merle Santana defeating Jonathan Webb. I think that's spelled correctly. 7-0. Murillo gets to a really cool like control position for a triangle here like twice.
Yes.
From like it's like almost like a nogi like shin to bicep or like spider guard kind of variation.
So he's in close guard, but he's off to the side, kind of when you're overhooking somebody, like you're either going to go for the triangle or maybe like fight for a butterfly sweep. And he ends up taking his Murillo takes his left hand and grabs
Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan's right wrist, and then pushes it up, and then Murillo takes his right leg and hooks under that far arm. So he hooks the bicep with his ankle.
And he starts to set this up initially like 2 minutes in. And
oh, yeah. A bunch of other shit happened. That was the move that I thought was like really cool. That was like, I've never seen that before in no-gi. From a control position.
I've never seen it at this level.
He grabbed his own... So when he got his foot through, he hooked the elbow, and then he grabbed...
the opposite elbow with the opposite foot.
Exactly. And then he grabbed his own foot to create that lock so that he couldn't get out. He even stood up at one point.
Yep.
And he was just holding his own foot.
Yep.
That shit was weird.
It's really cool. And then he actually uses it at the end to sweep.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he gets in mount with it. So he gets this... I think he already had 1 point for a sub-attempt, I think?
Yes.
Or something?
Yes.
And he gets mount, and he gets the sweep points for it, so he gets 2, and the fourth mount, so he finishes 7-0. But this highlight is going all over Instagram for Murillo, like locking up this, like, it's sort of a triangle position, actually. I know it as a triangle position, but if you lock underneath the arm, you can flip them over and actually take the back off of it. Yeah. So it's really nifty.
Yeah.
It was a really cool sequence.
I mean,
there.
I feel like you can just reach and grab the shoulder and pull it really hard. There's like a key lock, or like there's a bunch of different things.
So I did this to white belts as a teaching tool. The same move because it shows them like, hey, you've got to pay attention to like what's also behind you.
Yeah.
Because if you push, you can basically a lot of times you can take a white belt and you can take their same side arm and you can push it up and they'll flare their elbow behind them.
Right.
And if you're in the guard, you can loop your foot over and hold it and you can control them, and it gives them like, it freaks them out initially, and then they figure out like, oh, I've got to actually like pay attention to like why someone is doing something. And it's a really good teaching tool for like white belts and new people to like, oh, I got to understand that like how control positions work and like what I've got to be aware of, and like, oh, I'm not necessarily just being aware of what I'm looking at. I've got to be aware of like where he's putting me and where I'm feeling his body move.
Exactly.
And so that's why I really like the position, because I use this in teaching.
Exactly.
And it's really, really
what you can
funny.
see and what's actually happening are two different things. And you have to know that,
and it's cool to see it actually from Murillo Santana at a high level, black belt level. Like, it was cool. What's the next match you got?
It was awesome. Next was Deniz versus, is it Hinger?
Yes, it is Hinger.
Okay, good. So otherwise it could be Hinger if anybody's wondering what the hell
Hinger.
I was thinking.
It's always been Hinger.
It's Hinger.
Josh
Okay.
Hinger.
Okay.
He has a podcast. It's pretty good with Keenan called the Map Run Podcast.
Keenan Cornelius has an easy name for some reason. I maybe it's just so different that I
Can't
always
spell
remember
it, but I like
yeah.
it.
Yeah. So Hinger actually, I felt like he didn't game plan as well for this match as he did when they met. Was it IBJJF that he beat Deniz? Anyway, I know he won the first round. This one, I actually saw, I thought it was like 3 separate instances where I thought he just had a weird decision. The first one was the guard pull, because he was the one to at least admit that whoever gets on top is probably going to win. And I thought he was right. Of course, you can say that and then guard pull a game plan, but like, I felt like his wrestling's so good, he never needs to do that.
I feel like I don't know. This was a weird match.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Hinger did a couple things in this match that kind of just like threw me off, from his game planning. Like I'm not sure if he talked about a different game plan, but like it seemed like he wasn't fighting Mateus in the areas he was like strong.
That's what I mean.
I'm not sure if he felt something or like he was not feeling it that day or something, but like that and like the jumping of the armbar.
He went for a fucking flying armbar and I think gave himself a possible concussion.
Yeah, he landed super hard.
He landed so hard.
Yeah.
He basically jumped on the back of his own head.
Like head and neck.
Yeah.
And then the Niz just like gets up, gets the rear naked choke. Yeah. And then finishes.
Now, obviously, if he would have hit that armbar, it would have been cool.
But he threw it like out of position too, which is like I don't understand. Like
I didn't see the control either. Again, they're probably really slippery. So he probably thought he had the arm tighter. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was just a strange match from Hinger. Like we've seen Hinger. Like Hinger is one of the most decorated nogi people like around, like multiple time nogi world champion, like ADCC trials winner, like known for the Hinger team, like has some dope matches in ACBJJ nogi. Like he's a really
he got stuck in that necktie twice.
Yeah, twice. And like it was very controlled. It was again, none of those it's kind of like strange performances from like a really top level guy. And like again, don't take anything away from Mateus. There's also a reason he's going to ADCC.
That's true.
But like it was just like
it's more about the respect we have for Hinger, that you know that he's capable of more. Right. Of course, Deniz is amazing.
We've just seen like it was just a really strange match with like what Hinger decided to do, and like to top it off was like the flying armbar attempt was just like when he didn't have the arm like the elbow like pinched in control. He just kind of like seemed to.
He was just grabbing over the top.
He seemed to
just jumped.
Yeah, he just jumped for it, and that's kind of what like why I'm kind of still kind of.
It's really big to do that.
I mean, I think I've seen him do it before.
Okay.
But, like, it was weird to see him do it at a level like this with that lack of control and then, like, fall and then get past and choked.
The match is so close. Now, I will say this. He did have an awesome slam. When Deniz was going for a rear naked choke, he was, like, on the side and didn't quite have it, and then he went for a ride and got slammed, and that was really fun to watch. So that was cool. Good
match. It was just, like, it was kind of strange game planning from Hinger. Yep. I don't know how much I want to read to this. Again, so close to ADCC, it's always weird to, like, what are guys doing? Are they, like, trying to not show their game? Are they trying to show their game?
I'm worried he hurt himself a little bit.
Yeah, I hope he didn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was, not a good fall.
Yeah, it was big. So what do you got next?
Duarte versus Patrick Gaudio.
You said that's super weird. So I gotta look at your face now.
Duarte?
I'm still not used to like looking at the co-host's face when we record, and so it's super weird because I'm used to like looking by the side, and I just have to watch your face pronounce the name, and it threw me off completely. So Kenan Duarte defeats Patrick Gaudio 4-1. I think so. Kenan's beaten Gaudio twice now.
Yep.
In 2017, and then most recently about hands with a toe hold.
Man, he's just on a run. Kenan being on a run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, by the way, shout out to Josh Palmer for giving us that information on the commentary. I love listening to Palmer.
Yeah.
Because, like, he's such a good commentator. He always fills it with, like, good information. He's always done his research, and he's just, like, a pleasure to listen to on the mic.
Agreed.
Because he's, like, a professional, good commentator.
Yes.
And it's awesome. I'm really happy that Kasai, like, brings him out because good commentary for me is, like, again, we watch so many events. I love the background information, stuff you may have forgotten about, and Palmer's great for that kind of stuff. He's like an analyst commentator. Like, I really appreciate like the insight he gives.
It's almost like, I don't know if we're trained because we're so used to it from other sports, but commentating means a lot to me as a viewer when I'm watching it. I have to mute an idiot so quickly. If I hear something and you're talking out of your ass and you don't understand jiu-jitsu, like I'm just going to be so frustrated I can't listen. Or if you're just saying a bunch of stupid shit.
Or if you're not talking about the match.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I really like appreciate.
That happens a lot. People trail off a lot.
Yep.
And that's when you get like people who train or like some friends to sit behind the mic. And I get that, but you know, you need more than a personality.
Yeah,
you need to stay on track.
That's why I appreciate guys like Palmer and J. Budo and like the guys that are like the true professionals in the sport, because we even in the matches get a little slower. Not that this match was slow. We're kind of going off on a huge tangent here, but like they can stay on talking about the match, talking about the supporting information they have, some stuff about the history between two athletes, their training camp. Like they can keep you engaged in the match you're watching, and I really appreciate that from commentary. And I really hope that like we see more of that in the future, because like there are some really, really great commentators out there.
Agree.
And I love hearing them.
Yep.
So where do you want to start with the match?
Let's see. I don't know. I didn't have too many notes for it, honestly. I just had Duarte by points, and then it was really close at the end, just because Patrick almost had his back.
Yeah, there was
like
really kind of a little bit of controversy.
Yeah.
Basically, what happened at the end? Let's talk about the controversy.
Yeah.
Was wrong large gentleman.
Yep.
Patrick Gaudio had like a body lock on Duarte, and he was looking to kind of like take him down or take the back. And so they reset them in the center with Patrick still having the body lock.
Yes.
And then they go down.
And this was like right at the end.
It was
like 15, 20 seconds
15
left,
seconds, something like that. Really short amount of time.
Yep.
And then Kanan rolls forward. Patrick basically goes to take the back, throws both hooks in.
Both hooks. And they were in.
They were in.
At least for a second.
They were in for like 1 to 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And then Duarte, with the kind of the wherewithal to go, puts his hand down, slides the left hook of Gaudio off him, and starts to turn the angle so the hook's not in, so there's no points. And there was a lot of controversy on this. Like, did he have the back long enough to get the points? And I watched it. The first time I watched it, I was like, okay, that was super close. I don't think he got it. I watched it again, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I actually wanted to talk. What did you think about it? Did you think he had long enough for the points?
If I'm the guy who's taking his back, then they were in. If I'm the guy that he was fighting, then they weren't in. It's really like it could go either way, I think, and that's the hardest part about jiu-jitsu and the hardest part about picking rules. And I think Kasai did an amazing job of picking their rule set. And that just comes with jiu-jitsu. When there's subjectiveness, when there's like things that you can pick from, when it comes up to the decision of the ref, it's going to be human behavior.
Right.
And it's going to be impossible to go outside of that unless we start bringing in replays or something. And I don't even know if that's working.
I don't know if that would help. Like, I watched the replay, like understanding, like we watch a lot of jiu-jitsu. Like I understand like what a back kick looks like. I understand like, okay, that he took the back, that was points. And I watched this and I was like, oh my God, that's like on the line. Like he was on the back with the hooks, but was he on the back enough with enough control? And it was like it's this weird gray line, and it's like it was one of those I wouldn't really have a problem either way if it was scored, but the problem is this score wins the match.
Yep. And same thing with getting a point for a submission. It's like how close was the submission?
Right.
Sometimes it goes by, is the other guy grimacing? Or is the other guy have a straight face?
Or is the other guy having to defend it?
Maybe
or
it's
not?
a really good ankle lock, but like Imanari, I remember he was in either a heel hook or ankle lock or something, and he just literally stone faced. Like he showed no emotion, and the other guy didn't get a point. So I think that's when it gets subjective, and it's nearly impossible to do that. I could never step in as a ref and I feel like do a better job. So
no, dude, reffing is the most thankless job in jiu-jitsu, like hands down. And like you get a lot of refs to make bad calls, a lot of good calls. Like it's like that is a rough job, dude.
It's rough.
I would not want to. I've refed in-house stuff a bunch, and like in my gym, and like I ref for the Hopkins Club, not infrequently. I ever do like an inner club thing, like I'm usually the ref, which is actually kind of weird because I can't coach, so I'm having to ref against my own students, and it's like I don't know beforehand. Like, look, a back take, you have 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like it's 3 seconds for them. It's 5 seconds for you. Yeah. So get the back good, and they know going in. Like as a result, like I'm never gonna give my guys, but it's still a conflict of interest.
Right.
But it's still super weird, like having to score. Okay, did he sweep? And it's like that is a hard job. So I think the ref did a really good job here. I think there is no correct answer here. No. Like, honestly, you can look at how the rules are read, but then it's like, okay, what point was he on the back? What point did he have control? What point did he have the hooks in? Like,
Because the hooks did touch, and they were in.
Oh, yeah, no, they were in. Like,
but they were moving, they were rolling, and then he pushed the leg down, but I don't know.
I think it's definitely an interesting thing. And I think they posted, like, what do you think?
Yeah.
I think it was an Instagram post. I think it's a good discussion. It's like, what did you think? Because I would love to see in the future us get more concrete with jiu-jitsu, because I think that would help us with the level of professionalism, so that we're not having discussions like, was it points? Was it not? I feel like something more concrete, because we all admit he had the back with the hooks in, and we all admit it may or may not have been points.
And that is an issue.
And that's kind of an issue.
Because if that would have happened twice, you could have called it both ways.
Right.
And and the only argument would have been the discrepancy that it seemed the same. And that's kind of what I mean about the sub attempts. Sometimes you had a good footlock, a bad footlock, but they both one person got points.
The only guy that knows how deep that footlock is the guy having the footlock done to them.
And then it's up to the ref to look and say, does that look like a good footlock based on where his legs are entangled?
Based on how I think, how far I think his leg can go, or his foot can go, or how bendy I think his arm is, or how much of a choke I think he can take.
And it's like, oh,
it's hard.
He's footlocking Meow. Meows don't tap the footlock, so maybe they don't take it as seriously.
Right.
So, I don't know.
It's like, well, it's not a point because it's Meow. It's like, well, do you say how deep it is based on, like, is the guy going to tap, or is it a deep submission? It's like, and so it's weird.
Right.
Scoring jiu-jitsu is really hard. And I think this match in particular, because it's so apparent that you saw something and the camera angle was perfect for it.
Yep.
That you can take a look at it and actually, like, have this conversation with yourself. Like, take a look at this match and think about it for, like, what you thought.
Yep.
So, on to what do you got next?
That was the last super fight.
Oh, we had Tom DeBlas versus Nick Kaga.
Oh, I apologize.
Yep. Tom DeBlas.
I forgot that happened.
97 pounds smaller than Nick Kaga. Nick Kaga's I think his name's Kaga, or Kagia.
I think it's Kagia.
Kagia. They said his name on the broadcast a bunch of times, and I just forgot it.
I remember it not being so straightforward.
Catch wrestling guy.
Yeah.
Giant guy, 97 pounds bigger than DeBlas. We see DeBlas sit, play the knee shield. They come up. DeBlas sits again, goes into like half guard position. He sweeps, and then he gets a knee bar that I love, that behind the back knee bar where you loop it over, and then you just hip in. Kagia doesn't like really defend a lot.
Nope.
I'm not really certain why. He kind of like, I'm not sure if he like was trying to get his balance back or something, but it was like he rolled over in it, and then DeBlas sort of like sets up the knee bar, and I wasn't exactly sure like what Nick was doing there and why he didn't like start addressing it more. It seemed a little strange to me. I just didn't quite understand that, but DeBlas gets a really nice knee bar, really great angle.
Completely agree. I have no idea. You know, it's like one of those situations where a lot of people were talking crap online. That's one of the matches I realized. Everybody's saying, like, what the hell's going on? And everybody's like, well, he's a really nice guy. He competes all the time. He's, like, a big, supporter in jiu-jitsu and all that stuff. And it's like, nobody's doubting his character. I'm sure he's a nice guy. All I'm saying is, if anybody puts me in a knee bar, I don't just lay there.
It was weird.
And
I'm not sure what was up there.
And I guess you could give more credit to say, like, oh, it's Tom DeBlas. He's got my leg. It's gone. So maybe
it was just
and he
strange.
didn't rip it because and it was kind of DeBlas chilled there for a second, and it was kind of like looking at him like, hey, I can just stop now if you want. And then Nick Kagia was like, yeah, let's do that.
It was
let's
weird.
Just stop.
It was a little the finish was a little strange.
Can you help me up?
Dude, looking at you now, you make such funny faces. It messes me up.
Tom, can you help me up?
Tom DeBlas retired after this. It was a hard-fought moment. Tom DeBlas has been a competitor, multiple-time ADCC veteran, been running the ADCC East Coast Trials event for a while now. Best of luck in whatever he decides to do. I assume he's going to run his gym and like continue to coach. That's what he's big on from the seminars. Glad he got to see his final match. And
I wish it could have been a little different, but. The other thing worth mentioning is that Kagia was 3 days' notice.
Oh, yeah. Tevay pulled out. It was supposed to be Tevay, which was actually a rematch of a matchup that DeBlas and Tevay had like a year ago, I think, 2018, 2017. And DeBlas had beaten him then. So I was actually really excited to see that rematch. Yeah. But again, props to Kagia for showing up 3 days' notice to fight DeBlas.
Exactly. Anybody who takes a fight on 3 days' notice knows you're probably either you're like hoping that you do well because it's going to be that awesome story, but really you haven't been training for a super fight like the competitor has. So to step up in that time is brave, to say the least.
And who else stepped up? I think was it Gotti? I think Gotti stepped up versus Duarte.
Oh, did he? Oh yeah,
it was supposed to be Hanger.
You're right.
Not Hanger. It was supposed to be Yuri.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So dude, I was loving guys step up. Like nothing.
That would have been
nothing but respect for all the guys in the card. Don't be dicks to guys like. They compete, unless like the guy's doing something like egregious or like disrespectful. Like just be pleasant to people.
And
why is that so hard?
And more so, people who say that shit probably don't compete.
No,
just because if you compete, you've been caught in something stupid, or you
or it looked wrong. You made a mistake,
or you spent $600 flying somewhere with a hotel and you lost your first match, or like there's so many things you go through as a competitor that I think that like you always I think the thing is we want something to be entertaining. And you don't want it to be like fast or effortless, but to never make fun of somebody, I guess, or break down somebody's character, especially if you don't compete. Which if you're talking shit, you probably don't. That's just how it goes.
I agree. So let's move on to the undercard. Let's run through these matches. You want to do the names? Let me do the names.
You do the names.
Are you serious?
Unless you're having trouble, I'll do them.
I'm having a problem.
Okay.
I want to see. I also want to see this.
Okay. Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah,
okay.
right now, Ryan.
Chloe McNally defeats Lydia Coleman 2-0. Steve Ramos defeats Chris Marty via Barata Plata.
That was the Barata Plata. Congrats to Steve Ramos getting that $1,000 Barata Plata check.
Nice. Aaron Harris defeats David Brennan via heel hook. That was took about 15 or 20 seconds or so.
It was real quick.
Yeah.
We trained with David in the lead up to this match. Real quick, really, Aaron just locks it up, gets it done.
Shit happens.
Next match.
Gracie Kundrum defeats Gabby.
That was terrible.
Oh, Grace Gundrum
defeats.
Why? Because I used a C instead of a G. They even look close in the alphabet.
I need to make this larger size for you. Defeats Gabby Etzel defeats Gabby mounted guillotine.
Yeah. You're closer, by the way. The left side is closer to your side. Help me out, YouTube. You guys can see it. Okay, you want me to keep going?
No,
right.
Grace looked really good here. Yeah. Keep an eye on Grace. We've been following Grace for a couple years now out of 10 Planet Bethlehem. The guys up there, shout out to them.
She's a monster.
Yes.
I love watching her every time.
Yep. She's been on EBI. She's been on a bunch of stuff since she was like young, but now she's like starting to get like adult sized and like there's even better matchups available and she's looking good. She has a really cool adjustment here with the guillotine from the mount and she like slides it over and just like is able to get it done. Really, really, really cool finish.
Also, I miss EBI.
I do miss EBI.
I miss real EBI.
I miss real EBI too. Next match.
Lucas Protasio defeats Jefferson Grassi. That seemed pretty close. Italo Mora defeats Isaac Mitchell 6-2.
Can you read these any worse? David Tavares defeats Nakapan via points. Marco Bittercourt defeats. I can't say Nakapan's last name. I never can say Nakapan's a local guy.
I just thought it was funny that you jumped in and then like you got Nakapan. So that was.
I know Nakapan. I just can't. Can never pronounce Nakapan's last name.
I'm not going to try either.
So Marcelo Bittencourt defeats Marcelo Matos. Athos. Miranda defeats Garrett Lavaghi. Fiona Watson defeats Yaz Amarante via armbar. Mike Wilcox defeats Tim Williams via points. William Tackett defeats Nick Ronan 9-0. Tackett looked really good. Keep an eye out on Tackett. He's winning everything. He's won Third Coast. He's won Midwest Finishers. He's won Jits King. He's won his Super Fight here. He's won on Fight to Win. He's placed well at West Coast Trials for ADCC. You will be seeing more of William Tackett. A lot of people are calling for the Nicky Ryan matchup after this because they're both like young purple belts and quotes there.
And I think Nicky subs him. But I will say, well,
Nicky subs everyone.
Yeah. I don't know. I just what's funny is because when I saw Keith Krikorian get subbed by Nicky, I was like, God damn, there's levels to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That reminded me yet again that I'm like, because what was Krikorian the year that happened? Was it 72-2 or something like that?
Ended the year 84-2.
Yeah, Jesus. I mean, it's like, and he was
beating everyone.
It's not chumps either.
Also in ADCC.
That's yeah. So amazing.
So I'm excited to see what
but
Tackett
I'm
does.
super excited for Tackett. That was extremely dominant. Everybody should go watch that match. What I loved about it too was that Tackett was actually choosing to pass the whole time. So he was going against Nick Ronan's like guard and leg locks.
Yep.
But he was jamming his knee in there and like not playing back. He was pressure passing, but in the effective way of not letting Ronan get his inside control with his legs. And he just bested him. It was a really good match to watch.
Yeah, Nick Ronan's no
joke.
So.
That's why I'm so impressed. 9-0 was a big deal against Ronan.
Yeah, so
he was surviving.
So super exciting event. I don't think I have any other stuff I want to talk about. Anything else you want to talk about this?
No.
Great event. Go back and watch it.
Yep.
So under a recap of Fight to Win 122 in Scottsdale, Arizona. This took place on August 17th. Paid a total of $40,396 in salaries and commissions and was headlined by Augusto Taquino Menez defeating Marcelo Mafra via decision. Let's break down that match.
Yeah, it's a little bit slow. not as much in terms of slow, meaning that, you know, two amazing competitors are canceling each other out, and it was hard for either of them to get their offense going. But I will say that Mafra did a good job of grabbing head and arm control and did a little bit better with the wrestling. And for some reason, Taquinho just seemed a little bit off. I feel like he's more dominant than that. And
we've seen Taquinho, like, he plays sometimes a slower game.
Yeah, it's
but
true.
I thought, honestly, like, both guys looked really good in the matchup. I don't think I saw he was off in this matchup. It just was like definitely a slower Taquinho match. Like, we've seen that from him.
Yeah.
On the decision, I was actually a little surprised that Taquinho got the decision. Again, it was super close.
That's why I guess I was surprised. And it was a split decision, so I guess that makes sense. You know, it just depends on who was watching from what angle. But it was basically a wash from between both of them because they canceled each other out. I felt like.
There was a lot of positional exchanges. It was a good match, but it was definitely on the slower pace side.
Yeah, and Mafra I think just bested. I thought bested with the wrestling, but Taquinho did do a good job.
Yep. Next match we had Oswaldo Coutinho Moisinho defeating Thiago Barros via decision to retain the fight to win Masters featherweight title.
Yep, this was another close match. Coutinho does edge out the decision, but Barros had a really cool takedown in the very beginning. He got both lapels. He snapped Coutinho down, and then as Coutinho stood back up, Coutinho stood back up. What'd you say it was called? It's called a
Yoko Tomonage. It's basically the same variation that Megaton Diaz hits.
Yeah.
Where he basically does it from like a seated position, and he throws like sideways from the seated position. It's not like a direct over the head throw.
Yes.
It's like a sideways throw. And like Megaton is the guy that I know in jiu-jitsu that does it probably the most. It's like Yoko Tomonage is I think the name for it.
Yeah.
It may have like another variation name tacked onto it, but that's the name I hit. That's the name I know it as. Really cool throw, really nice throw, beautifully executed here off of that snap down.
Beautifully executed. Not quite enough, although that was one of the coolest things I saw of the match. But Moisinho did a good job of using his lasso guard, using lapels, and just slowed it down too
really
much.
Tied up the game for a lot of times. Like kind of completely stopped Thiago's passing.
And he's so good at that. Like, he's so good at manipulating joints by moving the lapel around, and he's so crafty, and it made it a little bit slower, but he still ended up keeping enough control to win.
Yeah, it was really cool. I liked a lot of points where you could see that there was like kind of attempts at action, but he just kept everything so tight and kind of so tangled up in the lapels for like pretty much the entirety of the match on the ground that there wasn't a whole lot of like ability for Barros to like bull rush past or really even get a ton of passing attempts going. It was really, like, from a control perspective, really impressive to me. That's kind of why I thought the match was kind of interesting.
Yeah, very technical. It's kind of the one where I feel like you enjoy it the most if you're training jiu-jitsu. If you're watching it from the outside, you're kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that, you know, those matches come up, but still tons of fun to watch.
Yeah. Next match, we have Karen Tunes defeating Tracy Goodell via decision, and she becomes the black belt flyweight Masters flyweight champion for the women.
This was actually one of my favorite matches, and Tunes actually just pretty much dominated Goodell. I thought did a great job. Ends up getting
really impressive performance here. Like, they looked good throughout in the top position with like the transitions.
Yeah, top position into passing, went for a bow and arrow choke, but lost it, but regained top and kept just like throwing up submissions, taking passing, took her back.
Let's talk about that bow and arrow choke.
Yeah,
like that was super deep. And I think it was really interesting that when she was going for it, that Goodell was able to get like her back flat. So Karen was trying to finish it from that like sideways position.
Exactly.
And I feel like had Goodell been like maybe like 5 to 10% more up on her angle and not quite as flat on the mat, she'd be able to finish. But Goodell did a really good job of basically being able to shuck off the shoulders and get nice and flat to the mat, so that when when Karen was pulling, and she was pulling good into the choke, there just wasn't the angle on the collar that you need to come across the neck fully and pull down. And so like I was really impressed because it was in and out and loaded, and Goodell was just able to get the angle, make the angle to like alleviate the pressure on the choke.
Yep, it was hard to stick her there, and I think it's like there comes a time weird with the bow and arrow where sometimes you can almost bend people too much, or like you can turn the neck too much where you're not even choking, you're like moving the person, where really you want to you like push in with your hips and I guess tighten your choking hand rather than like pull.
And it can be like on both sides. I assume it
Yeah.
was like an adjustment that Goodell was making, not like an error that Karen was making, but because like.
Well, yeah, and obviously she's Goodell's trying to drop her head to the ground so
Right.
she can slip out of the choke, which is what she did.
But that's kind of looked like where Karen was kind of like selling out and pulling, and Goodell was able to kind of like use that pulling motion and able to kind of like almost escape because like on the timing and where her body position was on the chest of Karen.
Yep. Got a really nice back take. It took a little bit of time, but she was super not in a boring way. I don't mean either. Just very patient in terms of having like this head and arm control almost, or passing from like the quarter mount, and then eventually she just kept her sideways enough to take the back. Super technical. Pretty dominant the whole time. Pretty rough too. I actually thought I saw a point where Goodell was on the edge, and Antunes, she seemed upset a couple times because Goodell actually, I don't know if you saw, but pulled her gi over her head twice, and she looked at the ref like, dude, knock this shit off. And then when she got to the edge, Antunes looked like she gave Goodell a little shove. She didn't push her off the mat. The ref was there. Like, everybody was safe, but it was like, ugh.
Off the mat, that's honestly a really good match. I really like when the gi matches turn out like this, where it's like really exciting positional control. There's some submission attempts, not necessarily like a submission, but like it was just a really, really like exciting kind of paced match. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun. So I want to go through the rest of the results here.
Yep.
All right, I've jumped around a little bit. So the next match we have Waboyo defeating Joe Murphy via ankle lock. From being triangled, and that was submission of the night for the black belts. We had Tyson Antilli defeating Matthew Gillette via armbar, and that was Friday of the night for the black belts.
Did you see the submission of the night for the black belts?
I did not see it.
Okay.
I was on vacation. I'm trying to click through. I wasn't able to see it today.
Joe Murphy was actually he got ankle locked by setting in the triangle, and then what is it? Robinho. That sounds right. Robinho. He's getting triangled. The leg that's like over the ankle was down, and he pulls himself in. And tucks in, and then just tightens in like really hard to like bend his ankle. I don't think I've ever seen that.
That was
before, let alone at black belt.
That was the first thing I ever tapped a black belt with.
Really?
When I was a blue belt.
I bet it was.
Yep, it was some bullshit.
Yeah.
So what we're describing is like,
of course it was.
I've tapped very few black belts, and that's what I tapped one with.
Just
and it
to
was
see that
straight up bullshit.
I actually watched that happen to somebody I train with during his when I was in New Orleans when he was competing. That actually happened. So all he said was like, it hurt really bad. I just don't think the guy was tight enough, and he eventually got out. But that shit looks really annoying.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And then the black belt whooped my ass for the remainder of the match.
Yeah.
He was like, fine. I got him like the first one. I just, and he was like, okay. Yeah. And he passed my guard, mounted me, and X-choked me like 4 more times. I was like, okay, I get it. I was visiting the gym. And I was like, and he was pissed.
Yeah. Well,
and then he just fucking X-choked me over until the round was over. And I was like, yo, I'm sorry you left your foot there. Like, my bad. I didn't do it like disrespectfully. It was just like he made a mistake, and I like ankle locked him, and like, that was that.
That's what you get.
So I've actually never told that story before.
Yeah, nice.
So let's see what else. Let's keep going down. John Kobe defeats Bill Trudeau via decision to become the Masters light heavyweight champion for Fight to Win. Vinicius Ferreira defeats Felipe Benza via decision. Claudio Fernandez, Van Orem are you better with the names than me?
No, I don't think so. Not based on how I did it before. Claudia Fernanda beats. That's her whole name.
Yes.
Claudia Fernanda Onofre Valim Doval. Jesus.
Oh, Claudio Doval. Jesus.
Oh, fuck
I'm looking
me.
at the name. I was like,
why the? Never mind.
Brazilian name.
Defeats Brenda Heller via triangle. I almost called her Brenda Heller Triangle. There should be some type of punctuation in the middle there.
We're about midnight, by the way. We're well past midnight recording this.
Okay.
It's a little late.
Victor Emmanuel defeats Ismat Abdulhamid via toe hold. Josh Guerra defeats Kevin Scott via footlock. Jordan Gomez defeats Gabriel
Reveredo via triangle.
Yeah.
Jake Watson defeats Samir Abdulkared via triangle. Jay Shellhammer defeats Michael McGregor via armbar. Jason Jiu-Jitsu defeats Dan Ropshop via loop choke. Guillermo Neves defeats Matt Blank via decision. Onto the judo matches, we have Tiago Zemez defeating Vernon Kirk via 2 ippons. Onto the brown belt matches, we had Carlos Souza defeating Nathan Hengberg via knee bar, and that was submission night for the brown belts. We had Lucas Norat defeating Jose Munoz via decision, and that was fight of the night for the brown belts. We had Thiago Assis defeating Lamer Young via choke. We have David Allen defeating Tyler Larson via choke. We have Hygor Beck defeating Michael Cashman via decision. We have Eric Anders defeating Robert Sanchez via decision. On to the purple belt results. We have Bianca Macedo defeating Ashid, give me that name?
Tredal
via knee bar, and that was submission night for the purple belts. We had Jonathan Carvalho defeating Gabriel de los Santos via split decision. That was Friday night for the purple belts. We had Serena Myers defeating Carla Shellhammer via decision. We have Fibity Jackson defeating Sean O'Malley via knee bar. That's UFC fighter Sean O'Malley. We have Seth Showtime Wheeler defeating Mark Wilson via armbar. We have Israel Tiki Aquino defeating Greg Mooney via Americana. We have Brandon Brains defeating Joe Schwartz via guillotine. We have what's the name?
Alvaro
Cardenas defeating Corey Stengel via triangle. We have Spencer Nolan defeating William Corpestein via decision. We have Leonard Miller defeating Austin Baker via decision. Alexander Lopez defeats David Hoops via split decision. Oscar de los Santos defeats Brandon Todd via decision. On to the teams matches, we had Joseph Cruz defeating Paul Weston via split decision to become the Fight to Win featherweight no-gi champion. We have Riley Smith defeating Jessica Brink via choke. That was submission of the night for the teens. We had Cole Smith defeating Gabriel Fuentes via decision. We had Vanessa Aguiar defeating Kendra Dope via armbar. We had Damian Hauscada defeating Dom Huerto via split decision. Anything else on Fight to Win?
No.
That doesn't on Fight to Win 122. On to the next one. So on a recap of Shugyo episode 1. So the first episode we had Jordan Holier versus Rafael Domingos, and this was really quick. If you're not familiar with Shugyo, listen to last week's episode and 2 weeks ago episode where we basically explain the entirety of what Shugyo is. It's on YouTube. You should be watching it. New episode comes out after you listen to this show. It should be out now. Highly recommend you go back and watch it because it's really exciting. Jordan Holy hits a super quick heel hook on Rafael Domingos.
Super quick. I mean, those heel hooks come on every once in a while, and I mean, just like we mentioned at a couple other events, a 15-second heel hook is not completely unrealistic.
No, and I think this whole match was maybe a minute long.
Yeah.
This, by the way, the format for Shugyo is no time limit submission only. So if you're finishing a dude in like a minute, that is a huge good thing for you in the future. Next match we had Nathan Orchard versus Sean Weisenberg, and this is probably a 4-minute match or something like that.
Yeah.
And good back and forth. Weisenberg's on the back at one point. Orchard's able to get to the back and get the rear naked choke. They actually do a really cool interview after the actual matches where they both talk about their game plans. I'm a huge fan of this format. Highly recommend you go back and watch it. This week is going to be Krellestein versus Mac Ropshoff and Keith Krikorian versus Joth Balco. So go and watch it. It's a great format. I cannot recommend it enough. I love that they're paying the athletes out. We did an interview with Phil Schwartz a couple weeks ago on the show. Go back and listen to it. It is a very fun event, and I highly recommend it.
I'm super excited for next week.
Yeah,
that's
it's
amazing.
Fun. Do Krikorian and Balco, and you do both those guys actually are super exciting.
Absolutely.
So I cannot wait to see both of those guys bring action. So on to our preview of the IBJJF Masters Worlds. After this, we're going to get into the preview of the IBJJF Heavyweight Grand Prix, which is taking place that Saturday. But Ryan, you're actually going to Masters Worlds.
I'm actually going. Yeah.
You're old now.
I am old now, yeah. So I could have actually gone last year because I was 29.
It's the year that you turned the age.
Yeah. So I think I could have gone last year because my birthday's late November. So
yeah, you had a kid last year, though.
Yeah.
That
stopped me.
So you're going now.
So I'm going now. Still have a kid, by the way.
That's a good.
but I'm also
that got dark.
But it's almost. Yeah. I mean, it is midnight. So, but no, I am going, and I am old, and but so is everybody else who's going to be there because it's Masters.
Dude,
so, yeah.
We're putting together with the gym. We're doing a big trip next year probably because everyone, like a bunch of my friends are like now old, and we're all like, yeah, does everyone want to go to Vegas? I'm like, yo, I'll be old enough to fight in this thing, even though I don't do IBJJF, but still I could go and hang out in Vegas for the week and watch jiu-jitsu for the week, which is pretty much all I do anyway.
You know, if you compete, they also put these things, what is it, like a VIXA or like, no, that's not right, I forget what it's called, but there's basically little seminars like Hodger Gracie.
There's huge seminars, and the Vegas Open runs the same day.
Yes.
The same week.
Oh,
so
right.
So it's basically like they
really
run,
you don't even have to be
they
old.
run the Worlds for the Masters and they run the Vegas Open, so it's like, look, everyone come to Vegas We'll do tons of jiu-jitsu. It'll be awesome. They're also in Vegas, so I'm super envious of you. When do you fly out?
I fly out Wednesday morning only because I want to watch Rick compete. I go Friday.
Yeah.
And then plus it gives me an extra day just to acclimate and just sleep or something, just because it's a little
deal
different.
With the travel and so like,
I don't really care about that much. That's something I tell myself to feel better about paying hotel an extra night. But still, I'll be there Wednesday, and then I fly out Saturday, and I'm actually heading straight to Florida to visit family after.
Sweet. That'll be a good trip then.
Yeah, that'll be cool. So I'll be in Vegas for 3 days, technically 4 days, actually.
I hear that's like the perfect amount of time to do Vegas. Is just like anything more than like 3-ish days.
And I can't do anything crazy before Friday. So like, and I'm done Friday, I guess in the afternoon somewhere. Well, there's 38 people in my bracket, so
Jesus.
I don't know how long that's going to take. It doesn't. I only have to kill 6 of them.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah. So
that should be good.
I think I start at like 10:30.
What division are you in?
Featherweight.
Okay.
Masters 1 purple.
Nice.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Pretty excited to compete.
What weight is that?
It's 153 with the gi on.
You're in the same weight class?
I'll probably weigh in at like 145, 147.
Okay.
Yeah, with my gi on. Okay. So I basically just don't cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's literally my division. Yeah, you're my division.
And I'm thinking, I've been going against featherweights, and the only reason I do that is because I feel like a strong light feather. So I'm not worried about somebody's strength necessarily as much, but I also realize like the heavier somebody is, the less jiu-jitsu moves they do. So I have to worry about their weight, but I assume I'll beat them on technique.
Dude, you're super technical. I've tried to kill you many times when you train. I think I may have only ever choked you like once, and I put you almost to sleep numerous times. But you're so freaking stubborn.
Yeah,
like I love it.
But that's what it is. It's got to be close to sleep. That's all.
You're one of my favorite dudes to train with.
Yeah.
So that does it for that. Let's move on. Let's move on to the IBJJF. Let's move on to the Nogi Heavyweight Grand Prix.
Oh yeah.
So I want to do a preview of the IBJJF 2019 Heavyweight Grand Prix. There's been a lot of big changes in this, but it still looks like an outstanding event. In hindsight, we actually didn't preview the Masters because it's huge. So we're not going to do that. Next week's show will contain the IBJJF Heavyweight Grand Prix and Combat Jiu-Jitsu. So on to this one. Yep. We have Mateus Diniz, we have Lucas the Hulk Barbosa, we have Cyborg Abreu, we have Tim Spriggs, we have Yuri Samos, we have Patrick Gaudio, we have João Gabriel Rocha, and Luis Panza. That is a murderous event.
Of course, Cyborg filling in for Gordon Ryan, who unfortunately decided not to do it. But
dude,
probably
they announced this event.
Smart.
They announced this event. I think this was on our calendar. I think 3 months before the next like closest event. So they announced this back when there was only events announced for, I think, May.
Yeah.
And they announced it was in August. I was like, yo, I think they literally announced this, like, January they announced this.
I've been excited about this for a long time.
8 months I've been waiting for this, and it's happening this week. You're on live? August 24th, you there?
What's that?
Are you in Vegas, August 24th?
Yes.
You better go to this live.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was happening.
If you do not go to this live, I will be disappointed to you at a level that I cannot comprehend.
Did not. So I am flying out Saturday night. So I will be here for this whole event.
Okay. Do you want to be on the show next week to talk about this?
Yes.
Okay. Sweet, Ryan.
Yeah.
Good to have you back.
Okay. Holy shit! I didn't know that lined up. I didn't think it was in Vegas. I didn't even look at the place. I just knew it was an event.
All we do is cover professional jiu-jitsu, Ryan. Like Ryan just comes on like, oh, we're talking about jiu-jitsu today. Jesus. So who do you think takes this? Like, let's make your big picks. I think,
dude.
I think João Gabriel Rocha is hard to beat. Yuri Samos is moving up, former ADCC champion, but there's no heel hooks. Again, it's the IBJJF Nogi kind of like rule set, which a lot of these guys aren't like big heel hook guys. Lucas the Hulk Barbosa, super hard to beat in the rule set. Tim Spriggs, current 2019 IBJJF Nogi world champion. You know, I think the weight class below what this is, because this is the heavyweight.
Really hard, man.
Patrick Gaudio looked amazing this last week. We just saw him this weekend look really good with that really great back take at the end that almost scored points. You know, I think I can see Diniz. I can see Hulk. Oh my God, there's so many guys in this actually.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking. I'll say not Cyborg, only because he's just a little bit older than everybody else.
Yeah, he looked really good last Nogi Worlds, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Looked really good. It's hard to beat. I think, yeah, he's a little bit older. I think.
I mean, everybody here is like a stud who.
Dude, this is like way more star-studded. I don't know how the bracket.
And it's like ADCC again, so that's the only reason I say that.
It's coin flip.
Yeah,
I think in a big way, it's like I don't want to honestly pick against guys or pick for guys. Like I think João Gabriel Rocha is amazingly hard to beat. He's a guy that's been giving Buchecha problems and actually beat Buchecha at BJJ Stars.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I think I would pick him, just because he's like super familiar with the rule set and has competed at the highest level forever.
Is he the heaviest guy, or are they all around the same weight?
I would think
because he's like 30 pounds.
João
heavier
Gabriel
than
a big dude.
Than Gordon Ryan, and Gordon Ryan was like 220 or something.
I think that he's a big dude. I think João Gabriel is probably the biggest guy.
So
there.
I was looking at him maybe just because like not only is he really good, but just being the biggest dude there. I don't know, but even like I'm looking through everybody. Tim Spriggs will gain points on any individual at any time. So it's like it could happen. You know, you never know.
I think everyone on here is at least
Panza. I mean, dude,
ADCC or world champion in gi or no gi. Like everyone, no one here is a joke. So this is dope. I'm excited you're going to it.
Yeah.
I would like you to text the chat results as stuff happens. Like, oh, you see this happening here. So
I will do.
I'm super excited about that.
I'm gonna say Barbosa.
All right, I can see it. I can see any. I honestly, legitimately could see any of these guys winning it. Like it wouldn't surprise me.
Yep.
So I think that does it for the show.
Yeah.
Let's want to do the outro now.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you're in Vegas next week.
Yep.
You're flying out what day?
I am flying out Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning,
like 6 a.m.
Are you back? Are you in Florida next week or no?
Yes.
So you can't do the show next weekend,
unless I did it remotely.
Okay. Maybe we'll do it remotely then.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll figure that out. We'll play it by ear. At least I'll definitely talk to you beforehand about like, hey, how was that? Was it lit? Was it awesome? So you're on big vacation. I just got off a 4-day vacation down in North Carolina at the lake house with my cousin and a bunch of his friends. That was a lot of fun. I'm very, very tired, which is why we started recording this show at almost 10 o'clock actually later than 10 o'clock at night on Sunday night.
Yep.
We have the interview with Holes that should be on this episode. You probably already have heard that interview by now. Anything else you got going on other than Masters Worlds? Have you been to Worlds before?
Nope. All the New Orleans, all the tournaments I did leading up to this were just for this, just to get more experience. I was never a big competitor. I probably competed as much in the last 6 months as I competed throughout, my first, like, all my years in jiu-jitsu. I mean, I would compete like once or twice a year and just do them randomly. And then I just started competing more than I could. I probably did 5 or 6 in the last couple of months.
It was really funny to see you come home with like a belt or like a win. I was like, "Yo, you competed?" Yeah, I competed last weekend. Like, what? You just kind of, you're just one of those guys just like would go and compete occasionally. Like, I wouldn't competed. I got a whim.
I
was like, all right, Ryan, calm down.
But then like, and I didn't like that because you put too much pressure on one. You can put an immense amount of pressure on like a new breed tournament or something like that. If that's the only one you do, you really should spread it out. And especially now that we've been doing this, I watch all these people. I'm fucking 30. I'm not getting any younger. So I'm
time to go do it.
I've never been better. It's time to go do it now. I'm only gonna get more injured. So.
That's reasonable. My back's like, my back's less broken now.
Yeah.
I can like walk around without pain most of the time. Not most of the time. I can like walk around for like 2 minutes and then about 5 minutes and I have in pain. But like I'm swimming more. I'm starting to get back teaching. Like it's good. I can maybe like compete eventually again. Eventually. Which would be dope. Which is like what I love doing.
Yeah.
Like you ever choked a dude unconscious on the mat? One of the greatest experiences of my entire life.
No. Not yet.
It was great. He went to sleep, and then he woke up and looked at me, and he knew. Yeah. He knew he didn't tap.
Yeah, he's laying down. He's like,
I should put that video on Instagram. Eventually.
He's like, I didn't happen to win and just lay down and take a nap, did I?
Dude, the video is great when I do it because you can see this video. You can see the ref. One ref goes, "Oh shit," and like fix him up, and you see a ref from the other side of the mat run over and realize, and then start like rubbing the guy's chest.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? And I'm just looking at the guy like, I did that.
Yeah.
You didn't tap.
You did that.
I got that stupid guillotine.
You're alive because of me.
Enjoy. So
I let it go.
You got anything else?
No, that's it. Nothing else going on. Honestly, after Masters Worlds, I'm not going to take a break by any means in terms of training, but at least in my brain it will calm down because there won't be as much. So
that's reasonable.
Maybe something else will pop up and I'll have a new goal at mind. But at least that's the only thing I got going on right now.
Sweet. All right. So as always on the show, I'm your host Maine with my co-host
Ryan.
And we got the Grappling Rewind. We'll see you on the mats. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have
Twitter. We have Google Plus.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.